everyone, and welcome to the Everything's Taken podcast, the podcast where Wood and I tried to name something, and, well, everything was taken, so you're stuck with Everything's Taken. I'm one of your hosts, Eric, and here with my good friend Wood, and we're here to talk about whatever, whenever, however. So, Wood, how are you feeling today? How are you feeling about our first podcast?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling excited. I'm feeling nervous. It's interesting. I've wanted to do a podcast for the longest time. I've wanted something that people can listen to in their cars on the way to work and things like that. And I like a whole different experience, different vibe. But I've always had no idea what to make it about. I didn't know how to, if I'm about video games, TVs, comic books. And then we decided to just go for it. And while we were looking for a name, as you said, we couldn't come up with anything. And I said to you, well, everything's taken. And that kind of just like went around in my brain for a bit. I'm like, everything's taken, everything. It could be about everything, and we could call it Everything's Taken. I like that.
That's right. That's right. The name is all inclusive. So like I said in the intro, we're going to talk about whatever, whenever, however. However, we will kind of keep it close to the vest here with video games.
Oh, there'll be a lot of video games. There'll be a lot about us.
Video games. We got a lot of stuff on today. But before we get into as I always like to say, the meat and potatoes of this particular program, we'll kind of introduce ourselves to the viewers. A lot of your viewers probably have seen me to some extent on your older videos.
Well, it's been a while. It's been a long while. You know what's funny? I was actually watching the video that we done way back in Bendigo. The one at Laura's house in the swimming pool the other day. I was watching it yesterday, actually, and it's still my favorite video on my channel. It's one of the least viewed videos, but it's by far my favorite video on my channel.
It was the top 5 winner levels.
Yes, in video games.
And we sat down and we initially wanted to take it seriously, but it just ended up being like a half-hour long piss take for whatever reason. So.
It was just us laughing the entire time, and it's such a good memory to have. But also the memory, I think it's somewhere on Instagram of you and me watching it back while we were editing it on Laura's couch, just pissing ourselves.
Oh my god, no one else is ever gonna find it. It's funny. Shut up.
That was a good time. But how did we meet? It kind of all did revolve around Bendigo and you going to Bendigo for the first time.
Yeah, so back, nearly 3 years ago now, I stumbled on your YouTube channel. You did a collaboration with Gamester81 for some sort of countdown video or something. I was like, oh yeah, he seems pretty cool. And at that point, I was going to Australia on a work and holiday visa for just a year. I had absolutely no plans, so I was like, I might as well befriend this guy. He seems pretty all right. So I sent him a message, and we chatted for a little bit, and we tried to hook up together and play Mario Kart 8 online, but it didn't work out because the time difference was too long. Mm-hmm. But shortly after I arrived in Australia, I sent you a message, and we started talking, and I booked a bus ticket to Adelaide, and my future was sealed at that point. So we hung out, and we really hit it off, and you
remember the first place that we went together? We went to that American burger diner. Cupcake diner, but we got these big stupid burgers. And I think you flirted with the waitress there a little bit too, if I remember correctly. Didn't you make her a little pickle man out of French fries and the pickle face or something?
No, that was you. What I did was we were looking at the menu, and I was like, because the gluten-free craze is like very recent, I guess, and I've never seen the term GF gluten-free on the menu. And I'm looking at this thing, and I'm like, what the hell is this GF? Like, do you buy it and you have a girlfriend included with it? Like, I don't. I'll take the burger, but hold the girlfriend, please. No, thank you. But Wood and I hit it off really well. We've met up in person quite a few times now.
It's been a while though. I haven't seen you since you've been married.
I know. It's life has really taken a toll on me in the last year and a half since we've met, since we've seen each other. I think it was July of 2015 last.
I still can't believe you're married, man. You're like. I'm still kind of young, but like none of my friends are getting married. You're like the only one. I got to come hang out with you and your wife sometime.
Well, you're a couple years older than me. I'll be 24 at the end of the month. You're like what, 40? So I mean, there's a couple years age difference.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you. So how you enjoying Australia now that you've moved there?
Very good. Yeah, I came here for permanent residency and all that stuff, and I came to set up a business and pursue my band. So it's all happening. It's all happening very quickly, and we just We just launched our recording studio and my wife's graphic design studio. So we're busy. We came here for a reason, thankfully, and Australia gave us the opportunity to do that. So, and plus the podcast. I mean, come on, you can't beat the podcast.
This is what it's all been about. If you weren't in Australia, tell you, I wouldn't have asked you to do this.
Probably actually would have been easier if I was still in New York.
No, it would have been way easier. The same time zone and everything like that.
Yeah, it's Sunday morning at 11:30 here, and it's like Saturday afternoon for you. So
whenever I this podcast idea, as I said, has been floating around my head for the longest time, and whenever I came back to it, it was always you. It was always going to be you. Not only your voice, but the way that we get along and our sense of humor is just, they mash so well, and it's so ever present in that video on my channel, and even the top 5 Wii U games of 2014 or whatever it was, which I think is Alpha Omega Sin's favorite video on my channel as well. It's
very funny, and like the top 10 sexiest YouTubers, where we are number one.
I forgot about that one.
Both of us. I mean, honestly, how could you blame us for thinking that? No, seriously, please don't think that I'm like egotistical like that. I mean, maybe a little bit, but
oh yeah, we put you and me as the first 2.
Yeah. But
I completely forgot about that video.
Yeah,
I remember I had so many people message me like Grimsy was so upset that he didn't make the cut.
I know, that's the thing. When we did that, it was very hard to think of all the retro YouTubers in the gaming community and put them in. You know, it wasn't in order of like who was sexiest.
That was a different time for my channel. I'll say that much. That was a different time period for my channel.
Yes, the last time I was on your channel, it was. Wasn't as good as it is now. I'll say that, and it's because
the channel's come a long way. It's come a real long way.
Your channel's
it really,
grown a lot.
I mean, it took me deciding to put some actual effort into it, I guess, and that started to actually creep up there in quality just a little bit.
Yeah. Well, good for you.
I feel like everyone probably knows all about me at this point, so I'm not really going to go into huge arcing detail about my life and what got me here in this seat, and unless there's anything else that you want to say about yourself to let these lovely people learn a little bit about what makes Eric tick.
Sure, I'll give a brief introduction. I mean, my name's Eric. I had a YouTube channel called Crossroads Reviews for a certain period of time, where I reviewed games and in-depth discussions on games, and then I moved over to a channel called Retro Game Remix, where I remixed all your favorite classic video game songs, and to that extent. So I've been doing that. But yeah, Wood contacted me about doing a podcast maybe like June or July of last year, and we really spitballed on it for a little while, and nothing really clicked until now. It's always been in motion, but we didn't really pursue it real hard until maybe about a month ago. So we've been building up to that, and this is a new part of my YouTube career to some extent, and I'm very excited about doing it. I think it'll be a big hit, and even if 2 people watch it, you and me, I know I'll enjoy it. So yeah,
no, I like it. I like your channel, Retro Game Remix. That needs way more love, and people listening to this, you need to check out his channel. Like, seriously, it's one of the most underrated channels, and definitely one of the most underrated music channels on YouTube. And I'm not just on my knees for my friend here, I'm like being serious. And we'll play one of your songs in the middle of this in the break of this podcast, right?
We'll have the intermission break,
and we'll play one of your songs. So if you're listening to this in the car, that'll be a good chance to crank that volume up. Also, the song we had at the beginning, if you loved that like as much as I do, that was also our friend Eric here made that.
Yes, sir.
And your wife made the graphics as well. So this is very, very much a family.
Yes, this is a family thing. So I'm going to be giving you the legal paperwork to be adopting you here in the next couple months. So it'll be a family-run business. So
okay, you'll be my parents, and it'll be Eric, Amber, and son.
That'd be very funny. Really excited about doing the podcast. So let's actually get into what we're going to be talking about today, which is the most relevant thing in the gaming world, which is the Nintendo Switch. So come on, switches up, guys. Switches out.
How could we not talk about it? Like,
you got the gray one. I got the floral one.
Oh, I had to get the gray one. I'm not a huge fan of the colors. I'm not gonna lie. They're a little off-putting.
I like them. But the thing is that you can buy the Joy-Cons, and if you want the different colors, etc. So there are some color options available. So
no, they're good. They're good. I like plain. I like gray. I like how sleek it looks.
Well, Nothing wrong with looking sweet.
You know, I
sleek.
actually was cooking dinner yesterday, and I went upstairs, and one of my roommates was up there, and he's not really been into gaming for a while. He kind of fell out back in the NES days, and we was talking about the Switch, and he's all into like engineering and science and computing and all that. He goes to uni for it. And when I brought my Switch upstairs, he was losing his mind. Like, I had it like set up with the Joy-Cons out, and I was telling him about the HD rumble, and I was telling him about the sensor at the bottom, and when I told this, like, you know, non-gamer, non-consumer really, the price tag on it, he thought it was insane. He's like, that's so cheap. Like, do you realize what a revolutionary device that is? Like, there's nothing else is like that for that price tag. And it's crazy when you think of the amount of people out there that are complaining that it's more expensive than an Xbox One or anything like that, and then like they're just going purely on the graphics side of things. But what goes into this system? What makes this system tick? It's the price tag. Honestly, ain't bad.
No, it's very good value for money. I mean, over here in Australia, your home country, it was $4.69, and then the games are $75 a piece. But obviously, you got to take into account shipping it into the country, export, import, etc., and then the current economic value for between the US dollar and the Australian dollar. It all equals to be the same value. However, but the technology that's inside it, it's really interesting because, you know, when they first announced, or when you first heard the rumblings, the HD rumblings, if you will, about the Nintendo NX, everybody was like, oh, you know, what's it going to be? How's it going to look? Because a couple of years ago, the handheld division and the home console division merged to one. So obviously, you know, we thought it's going to be something like this. But the fact that the actual console is a tablet, like this is it. I mean, you've seen those Android tablets getting around. It looks nothing different than this. I mean, except you got the Joy-Con functionality or whatever. But the technology that goes into it, you know, it may not be the most mind-blowing thing, but so far I've had a hell of a lot of fun with it. I've only played, you know, Zelda for like, I don't know, 350 hours or whatever. I don't know.
Is that it? You haven't really put much time into it?
No, I haven't really put any time into it.
Where are you at right now? I actually, I just got to the, how do you pronounce it? Gerudo Desert? Gerudo Desert? Gerudo Desert? I'm trying to nail down my second beast.
I've done 3 beasts so far.
Wow.
I have a total of 11 hearts because I need the magic number of 13 for those of you who have played the game. We're trying to be spoiler free here. And it's very hard because we're very eager to talk about Zelda.
You kind of gave me a spoiler earlier because I didn't know about that.
Oh, did I? I don't know. I'm not going to ask you to repeat that because I'm sure if you think it's a spoiler, chances are it probably is. So we've had the Switch for about maybe 10 days or so. So what are your initial impressions of it? I know you've played Blaster Master and Zelda. What are your thoughts on the UI, the functionality, the comfortability of the controls? What do you think? Do you like it? Do you think for the price, are you getting good value for money here?
I mean, I definitely do, and it's something that I've covered in my channel a bunch of times now. I have a lot of videos up about the system and what I feel about it. So my current game library right now is I have Zelda, I have Fast RMX, I have Blaster Master, and I don't know how to pronounce it, but I got it today, VOEs, something like that. It looks like a rhythm game, very heavy anime style, and I'm really looking forward to playing it. Actually, I've had a lot of really great things. I love it. I have no complaints with my Switch. I haven't received any issues with it. I haven't had any Joy-Con issues. I've never had the battery die on me just yet. The battery seems to last a really long time. In the tablet, I noticed that, you know, you get 3 or 4 hours, it's about accurate, but plugged into the dock just using the Joy-Cons, hell, I got it out of the box and I plugged it straight into my TV and started playing on the Joy-Cons, and I think I played for like 8 hours, and the Joy-Cons hit like half battery, and then finally after about like 11 hours of playing, my left one started to tell me that it was running low. So the Joy-Cons on their own last a very long time. And yeah, overall the system it honestly feels quality.
Yeah.
There's nothing about it that feels cheap.
No, I mean, people have complained like, oh, it feels like cheap plastic, but I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. But you can really see the evolution of the previous Nintendo consoles. Like, look, here's the Wiimotes. Here's the Wiimote DNA right on my hands. Uh-huh. You know, it's got the IR motion sensor, and you can see the Wii U in the tablet. And plus, you know, the Joy-Cons, I could sit like this on my couch. Excuse the pit stains here. you can relax back and play however you want with the Joy-Cons. So, I mean, really, to me, it's the gaming system that I've been looking for. Now, disclaimer here: I am a Nintendo fanboy, so please take whatever I say with a grain of salt.
Absolutely, me too. And I've been very outspoken about that. You're listening to a Nintendo fanboy podcast. In fact, we didn't check to see if that name was taken. Maybe we could have gone with a Nintendo fanboy.
We could have done fanboys, B-O-I-Z. Gee, that would have been real funny.
And then we could like shorten Nintendo to be like hip, like Tendo or something, like Tendo fanboys.
Hiptendo. But no, I'm really liking my time with the Switch so far. A lot of people have been having issues with scratching the screen, put it in the dock. Here's some advice.
That's something that both me and Sean have said a bunch of times. Unless you're being a Neanderthal and you're throwing that thing in, or you're not looking at where you're placing it, I can't see that happening. I do feel like the dock, the little like dips in the dock on the inside that hold it in place, they could have some felt on them. I don't think that would have been like very expensive.
I agree.
For Nintendo to throw those on there, but unless you're putting it in at a weird angle or you're slamming it in, it goes in over the black lines in the tablet here. Oh god, now I'm gonna scratch it on my desk. But over the tablet here. So I mean, worst case scenario, you scratch that part, but honestly, I haven't even done that. So
no. Here's what I was thinking. Well, firstly, let me give you some advice to those Switch users out there who have scratched screens or are concerned about scratched screens. Get a screen protector. That's the best thing that you can do. Second best thing, I thought I had a little ingenuity here. Get a piece of cardboard, cut it to the size of the dock on the inside, get a microfiber cloth, glue it to the piece of cardboard, and then put it inside. That way it's sliding into something nice and soft.
You know what I actually saw on Reddit the other day? Someone made almost like a little glove sock type thing. They stitched together this Zelda like fabrication, and they just slipped it over like you're talking about. Yeah,
that's
and it
exactly
actually made the front of the dock look like Zelda too, so it was kind of neat.
Well, that's pretty cool. Coming to an Etsy store near you, I'm sure.
Honestly, that'd be something I would look at picking up just for the sake of it.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
As far as like Nintendo and every system and every console ever has always brought out, like a slim version or a modified version. The 3DS had like 17 different models of it brought out. So I really feel like one of the first things Nintendo might be looking at doing and looking into is changing that dock, because I don't really like the dock. That's the only part that does feel kind of cheap to me, but also I don't really get why you need to so carefully, or even like moderately not being a Neanderthal, kind of slide it into that thing. There's no real reason why it couldn't be like a forward facing on a slant dock that you just kind of like sit it on, almost like what the Wii U has already, but the back is just full of wires and components and stuff like that.
Have you seen I think somebody on Reddit took it apart, the inside of the dock. It's literally just a chip with a ribbon cable going to the USB-C. So it's like the dock itself is just a plastic housing for that, for the internals, which is just a chip. So honestly, if Nintendo would redo the dock, that'd be fine. Otherwise, I don't really care. But the only thing I really see Nintendo doing is some different color options for the Joy-Cons. I've seen a lot of people being photoshopped or having photoshopped like GameCube editions, like Super Nintendo editions, like Nintendo. If this was a 3D screen, I'd be reaching through and giving you about $1,000 for that, because that's a great idea. But the thing is, Joy-Con functionality is great. A lot of people have been having issues with the Joy-Cons. I haven't at all. So I don't know if it's just an isolated couple of incidents, and then there's been screen freezings. I don't know. I've been okay at it, but I not to put any blame on anybody else, but I take relatively good care of the stuff that I buy. Not to say anybody else doesn't, but things happen. I understand that. So hopefully Nintendo can fix these ongoing technical issues from here on out.
So something that I saw a lot of, I don't know if it was like fan creations or stuff like that when the Switch was first announced, but it was different kinds of Joy-Cons, different like fishing rods, or like random doohickeys and bebops and stuff like that you could slot onto the side. Is that something that Nintendo has said they're going to eventually do? Have you heard of anything like that, or is that just something people kind of want?
I haven't really heard anything official. Again, it's probably a case of those rumblings, the HD rumblings.
The HD Switch rumblings?
Yes,
I like that. Exactly. I like that a lot.
It's I guess that could be one of our first of many memes. No, but I haven't heard anything yet. But some additional functionality would be really cool. Obviously, because if you look at the Joy-Con, it has that little rail, so that could be used as a third-party accessory of some sort. Like if you want a fishing rod or something, I don't know. They're gonna make switch fish. I don't know.
Switch fish. Fish switch.
Nah, I don't know. But
that has to be what that one two fish.
Yeah, that would be it. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with it. I haven't heard anything from the Nintendo end yet. Honestly, I'm just looking forward to the new games that were announced. Like I'll re-buy Mario Kart 8 again just to have it on the Switch. That's the fanboy inside of me. Really wish they would have launched a little more strongly with Super Mario Odyssey. But then again, take the time it takes to make the game great.
That is something I messaged my buddy Sean about today. The whole having to wait is settling in a little bit early for me.
Yeah.
Even though I still haven't even started this new game that that I was talking about, and I haven't even finished Zelda or anything like that. A little part of me looked at the upcoming games recently, and I saw much. That we get the Lego remake or remaster, whatever, on April 7, and then we get the Mario Kart remaster late April. And then everything else is to be confirmed.
Yes, now that's the thing. That's the thing is like it is slim pickings, but I'm excited for the Lego City Undercover.
So am I.
For the Switch, and you know why? Because they're advertising it. There's two different play styles. You can play it with the new enhanced loading times, or you can play it with the Wii U loading times, which you'll probably end up dying before the level loads. So that's the option that I'm gonna go. I'm gonna play with the longer wait times option. If that is available.
Why is that an option?
It's not. Thank God it's not. But no, that'd be funny. But it's pretty slim pickings here. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to wait.
That reminds me of those wait times were pretty intense on that game.
Yeah, I was really disappointed. I was like, I can't wait to play Lego City Undercover, and then I'm waiting like 10 minutes. It's like, I've only just put my name in. And then you enter a new area,
and you got to wait another 10 minutes.
I know. But yeah, I mean, look, I'll wait it out until December or holiday 2017 for Super Mario Odyssey. Looks really great. A lot of the indie games that have come to the Switch so far, Blaster Master Remix, you've had some experience with that. If you want to speak to that, that'd be really good, because I'm interested in it. I think it's really cool, and I don't know if it's a remake of the original Blaster Master or if it's like the Metroid Zero Mission version of Blaster Master. So it looks really cool. Fast Remix looks cool. A lot of the indie games support is really great. Nintendo's really going hard for the third party and independent developer.
The third party list is definitely a lot longer, like right now and in the coming future.
I know one of the games that's out for the Switch right now, but I played on PS4 is oh gee, why am I drawing a blank on this? It's by Tokyo RPG Factory. Help me out here, man. I Am Setsuna.
Oh yeah, obviously. Damn. Sorry, I could have helped you with that.
I know. But no, I Am Setsuna is very good. Although I played it on PS4. Had I not played it on PS4, definitely recommend it for the Switch.
Now, did you know that you can get the physical from Japan?
Say that again?
Did you know that you could get the physical from Japan?
Can you?
Yeah, you can actually they have a physical of I Am Setsuna in Japan, and obviously the Switch is region free. Finally, we have a region free Nintendo, so you can import that over.
This is why every night I go into bed, I don't cuddle with my wife. I just hold the Switch very closely. I'm like, thank you for being region free. I'm so cool. No, I'm glad. Yeah, I Am Setsuna is such a great game to play. If you haven't already done so, please do it. It's similar to Final Fantasy X. It's Final Fantasy X story meets Chrono Trigger. Go for it.
I'm really excited to play that title. It's actually going to be the one that I pick up once I run out of games here and have to wait for more to start coming out.
Yeah, it'll happen soon. Thankfully, they launched really strongly with Breath of the Wild. But other than that, slim pickings at the moment. But that's fine.
We talked earlier about your song, your music on your very underrated channel. So we're gonna take a break here for just a moment, and then we're gonna come back and talk about some other things Switch related.
The featured song that we're gonna have today is going to be the title theme from the beloved Sega CD game Snatcher. So take it away. Oh, the Switch was off. You kidding me?
Try it again.
Maybe next time. There we go. Take it away.
There we go.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Hope you liked that song, the title theme from the acclaimed Konami hit, Snatcher title theme. So yes, every podcast we're going to have a little ad break or whatever break. So if you want to advertise your brand, your business, or your channel, let us know. We'd be happy to fit you in for a premium cost of, we haven't determined that yet, probably free.
I'm listening to you right now like, is that something we're going to do? But no, actually, I do like that idea. I was going to make a quick joke about how other podcasts, sponsored by audiobooks or whatever. We're definitely not. But I like how we're just like, let's play a song my buddy made.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So eventually, will we get to that stage? Nobody knows. Maybe all of a sudden it'll just cut to an ad break and you'll hear this summer. Maybe some sort of movie trailer or whatever. But whatever. That's just a little ad break just for us to reset our cameras, take a breath, take a leak, have some water. But now we're going to talk about Breath of the Wild. So let's get right into that.
First thing that I want to dive into, I know this is technically the next thing on our list, but I want to talk about this because I just found it out today. So apparently that initial Link amiibo, the one that was everywhere and that was one of the most common amiibos that you could get, and it was just too many, there was too many of them. Apparently that's one of the hardest ones to find now, and going for about $50 in the US because it has some really cool benefits in the game, in the Zelda Breath of the Wild. Apparently it gives you some really great loot drops. So it's really interesting to see a common amiibo like that. That's almost like a good strategy on Nintendo side of things, where they were like, how could we sell some more of this amiibo that we have lying around everywhere?
Oh man, yeah. When you mentioned the $50 price in the U.S., here I am looking at eBay Australia here. Nintendo 3DS / Wii U Amiibo Link Legend of Zelda Super Smash Bros. Series, $125. Buy it now. $50. Buy it now. $80. Buy it now.
What are they selling for? Go to the. This is a recent thing, so there might not be too many that have actually sold, but that is insane.
Let me look at these sold.
If they're selling for more than 50, or let's say 60 in Australia, that has to be some good loot drops. I haven't looked into what you get, but that has to be pretty cool. And you know what? The one amiibo I took out of its package and decided to actually use was Link, and I left it in Australia.
Oh. I know where it is. I might have to go get it and use it.
Yeah, you might. Send it to me.
$87, $80 sold.
Wait, no.
$50 Toon Link sold.
Wait, Toon Link as well?
What the heck?
Damn it, do I have a Toon Link?
I'm sure, no, I know you do, but I don't know if you have
and
it
it's
with
in
you.
Australia.
No, that's the thing. Is like in regards to the amiibo functionality, I went and bought the whole set the other day at JB Hi-Fi. Obviously not just because the amiibo functionality, but the Link one looks pretty cool. It's pretty neat looking.
Oh, I like that Link one a lot. Yeah.
But the thing is I looked up online. It's like the IGN guide. What do amiibos do? Get the Princess Zelda one, and you get the Master Shield. Get the 30th anniversary Ocarina of Time Link and put him in, and you get the Ocarina of Time tunic. All I've gotten is raw meat and arrows. Like, what the hell am I paying for? So, like, every morning, literally every morning before I shower, I turn my Switch on, and I go through and do my amiibo whatever.
Oh, is it once a day?
Yeah, once a day. I scan them all in. And I open all the chests thinking like, oh, here it comes. And then all I get instead of like the Master Shield is like, wow, congratulations, you got 5 shock arrows. You know what I mean? Like it's disappointing.
Well, so okay, I haven't done this yet actually. So you scan it in and then it like falls at your feet with a chest.
Yep. So you have to activate the amiibo rune, and then you press the L button, and then you scan it in, and then you can put.
I gotta say, I'm very friggin' bow and arrow happy. Me
too.
I throw arrows around like they don't cost $30 for 5. So I actually wouldn't mind. I think honestly, out of everything I could get, like legendary swords and new armor and the best healing abilities, if I got 5 arrows, it'd be a good day for me. I could shoot 5 more guys.
I agree. So, the bomb arrows in the game are very, very, very handy, especially in some of the
there's something
shrines.
About using a bow and arrow. Remember what was it like 4 or 5 years ago when bow and arrow became like the new craze in video games? I remember Crisis
Link's
3.
crossbow training.
There was Crisis 3. They got a bow in that game, and then the new Lara Croft game came out, and you could use a bow in that, and then Last of Us was out, and you could use a bow in that. I think like every game around that time, the bow and arrow became the new hit thing.
I know, that's a funny thing. So I guess we've come full circle.
Yeah.
But as far as Breath of the Wild goes, we've had it. That's the only game I've played on the Switch so far, and it's probably really the only game that you've played. What do you think? I mean, it's gotten 10 out of 10 reviews, left, right, and center. Do you agree with that? What's your thoughts on the story?
I said it in my Zelda video. I agree. And the only thing that I do have to say on that is a lot of people say the only reason it's getting these 10 out of 10 reviews is because it is Zelda, and people are losing their minds for a new Zelda title. And I said this in my video, so I'll keep it short. I agree with that, but it doesn't change the fact that it makes it 10 out of 10 because it's Zelda, if that makes sense. Like, if I was playing this 8 out of 10 game and it was a new fresh IP, that's great. 8 out of 10, fantastic. But it's getting a couple extra points from me because it's Zelda, because it's nostalgia, because I'm already invested in this story, because Nintendo has built this over 25, 30 years. And that's not something to discredit. That's not something to be like, oh, you're only losing your minds because Nintendo's built up this franchise over the last 3 decades. No, we're losing our minds because Nintendo's built this franchise and instilled this love in our hearts for 3 decades, and now we have this new, whether you want to say 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 game that's in that franchise. And so for us, it's 10 out of 10. And I still believe that a lot of people out there that are coming into this experience for the first time can and will see this game as a 10 out of 10 experience. Gaming honestly doesn't get that much better as far as enjoyment.
No. I know I enjoy a game when I play it and I cannot put it down. Or when I put it down, all I do is think about it. So the funny thing is, though, is Horizon Zero Dawn came out 2 days before Breath of the Wild. Am I the only one that sees any bit of coincidence, or like they kind of look similar? Like you're playing as somebody in a blue thing, and there's these like kind of like mechanical beings, and there's lots of bow and arrows. Like it's kind of same kind of thing.
You know, like, it's funny. I almost picked up Horizon. I didn't because I was getting Zelda so soon, and I never really leading up to it never really drew those similarities. But I started to realize for myself pretty quick after Zelda came out, and the videos were getting shared around. But then a friend of mine called 8-Bit Brody made a video, and he reviewed the Switch. And when he got to Zelda, as like a funny haha, he played Horizon footage, but pretended like he was talking about Zelda the entire time. But the footage he showed was, riding on horseback and climbing up a mountain and like everything that you can do in Zelda, and he even went into details talking about how like the world feels so alive, like the environment, and then like you see this alive looking world in Horizon, and it is very interesting, the similarities between the two. And I'm not sure how planned that was on Sony's part, but I'm mostly Nintendo was working on this game for a long time, and it had so many delays and setbacks. You have to imagine that it's just coincidental, but that's a big coincidence right there.
And the most coincidental thing is that they released within 2 days of each other too, which is really funny. Which is exactly why I held off on picking up Horizon, was because it's like, oh well, I'll buy this game, well then I'm gonna play the same game in a couple days. You know what I mean? It's the same kind of thing, and I only like to take on one open world game at a time. Otherwise, I get too overwhelmed.
I was playing Final Fantasy 15 leading up to Zelda coming out, and unfortunately, I haven't touched that game since. And I love Final Fantasy 15. That's a really fun game. It's my favorite Final Fantasy. Like I've said that. It's honestly my new favorite Final Fantasy, which is crazy that I've in the space of a couple weeks I've gone from my new favorite Final Fantasy, which was such a huge part of me growing up, to my new favorite Zelda, which was such a huge part of me growing up. It's a pretty cool time to be alive, but I haven't touched it, and I'm missing it. I'm honestly missing it, but nothing is pulling me away from Zelda right now.
No, I agree. I mean, I have specifically not bought any other Switch games because I'm so engrossed in Breath of the Wild. Like I'll pick up Super Bammerman. I'll pick up Super Bammerman after I finish Breath of the Wild, but like after that, Breath of the Wild is kind of my mainstay at the moment, just because it's so good. And it's not just because it's a Zelda game
right now.
With my voice,
my Bammerman, and you said something else there that sounded a bit weird.
You know, it's just honestly because I cannot think of anything but Zelda, so it's messing up my ability to talk. But
I'll finish Bammerman once I finish this coffee.
My coffee. Nah, Zelda's just so good though, and it's not just because it's a Zelda game. It's just a very good game. The story is how they introduce you to this story is they give you a little bit of tidbits at a time. They don't just like verbal diarrhea of the story at all, like, you know, like most Zelda games do. It's like you get this big credit roll, boom, here's the story. Whereas when you start Breath of the Wild, it's kind of mysterious. There's a lot of mystery behind it, and you're this Link guy again for the 30th time, but you've been asleep for 100 years. What's that all about? So then, of course, over the course of the game, you figure out a little more story information, and then you become more engrossed because you want to know more, not because they give you everything all at once. So there's a little bit of a hand-holding period with the mechanics, but after that, you can go anywhere and do absolutely anything however you want, and it's the most interesting Zelda game because you have the freedom to do whatever you want in whatever order you want to. You're not restrained to the 8 dungeons back to back. I really can't talk.
One of the coolest parallels I drew making a video the other day, and it kind of just came out, and I wasn't even thinking about it at the time, but then as I was thinking about it later, I was like, you know what, that is actually pretty cool. Is right, as you said, right off the bat, you wake up and you don't remember anything. And obviously, as Link, as this character, everything has happened. It's like he's had this whole life that he can't remember, everything that he's trying to go through this story and relearn. And you as a player, right as you walk out of that initial area, you can do everything. You have every ability to you. You can pick up a bow, you can start shooting. They don't have to teach you. You can jump on your shield and start surfing. They don't have to tell you that you can do that. You just kind of learn that you can. You can go and catch a horse and start riding on horseback. And it's because Link already knows how to do everything. You just need to learn it as you go. You need to relearn it. And it's something that as a player that you can relate to in Link, that you have everything, you just need to relearn. You just need to learn for yourself how to do it all right from the moment you walk out of that dungeon. So the player's going on a journey at the same time Link is to relearn or to learn.
That's exactly right. What you're saying there makes a lot of sense, because if you draw the parallel to you and then the main character Link, you are Link because we've all played these Zelda games before, you know, minus the 1% of people who haven't played Zelda games yet. You already know how to do all this stuff. You just have to like officially go through the little bit of hand-holding process, and then you can like. There was a guy who beat the game in an hour. Like there's already speed runs of the game. Like you can
head
beat
straight
it right
to the
away.
end.
You know, obviously going through the whole stage of the game, you know, obviously gives you better understanding of how the mechanics work, and it gives you better equipment and everything, and you know they're the main dungeons that you do that will help you beat the game at the end. But you can go in anytime you want to do it if you feel prepared, and you know you can. I haven't watched it, but you can. So
you know, I think's funny that all those speed runs of Ocarina of Time, where players right from the start in that village, you know, they go and find a stick, and then they jump down a well in a certain angle, and they glitch out to this other area, and then they they quickly do this and they do that to sort of like phase through the environments to end up at the last boss, and then they do it so like the stick's just repeatedly hitting Ganon, and then all this crazy stuff they have to do to finish it. But in this game, you can literally just walk straight to the end. It's going to make speed runs pretty interesting.
I know.
See how fast people can get to the end of that game.
I haven't walked to the end of it yet. Well, to the end portion. I guess we won't spoil that, but
I mean, right from the start, you can see the castle, and you can see the castle shrouded in that entity that is Calamity Ganon, and you find that out, you know, in the first 30 minutes of the game. But I tried walking towards it at one point to start hitting some of those towers and stuff like that. And I backed away. There's so much happening over there that if you're not prepared for it, and I won't say what it is, but there's some stuff over there, man, and it was kicking my ass. I was not prepared to even like walk near the castle, so I can't imagine how people are finishing it in an hour. But
I have no idea how they're doing it. I'll have to watch it after this. But yeah, it's really interesting how people just pick apart a game all of a sudden as soon as it's released. But I mean, Zelda, like we just spoke to, is very good. Very deserving of the 10 out of 10 reviews. And if you haven't played it, pick it up. Either Wii U or Switch. Either one is fine. Obviously, we are officially endorsing the Switch, so Nintendo will be sponsoring this episode. So thank you to Nintendo for officially sponsoring the episode 1 of Everything's Taken podcast. Thank you, Reggie.
If you could send us a couple of Switches, that would be great.
That'd be a couple.
I could use an extra dock actually. I'll put that in this room as well, so I can dock my unit in different rooms.
Our next talking point here is the open-ended question that everybody's thinking about now that we're after we all beat Zelda and there's the period of time where there's slim picking for games. What do you think the future of the Switch is going to be? What kind of titles do you think we're going to see? Do you think we're going to have any franchises be reborn? Like Blaster Master came out of nowhere like 2 weeks ago, then all of a sudden we're just playing Blaster Master again. It's like, that's cool, and it actually looks and feels like and sounds like a Sunsoft game, which is probably the most interesting thing. You know, Sunsoft's been dead for so many years. Well, to my knowledge anyway. Like, where do you think the Switch is going to end up? How do you think we're going to talk about the Switch in 5-10 years time?
It's so hard to guess, and I've been following Nintendo for the longest time now, and you know, I was so avidly invested in the Wii U, so for the last 5 or 6 years I've had my ear to the ground on everything Wii U. I could almost tell you like every step, every mistake they made, every cool thing that happened. But even still, with all that knowledge looking into this system, it's so hard to even fathom the direction they're going to go in, because the Wii U didn't do very well, and I'm sure they don't want to follow any of those steps. And the Switch is, as much as it makes sense, and as much as you look at it and you'll be like, yeah, that's what Nintendo was always going to do, and that's what makes sense for Nintendo, it still came out of left field. You looked at it and it was like, what? So it's kind of hard to kind of even take a guess as to what Nintendo's going to do, because Nintendo's always fooled us. They've always confused us. They've always done things that we're like, why? And then they haven't done things that we're like, if you did this, you would make so much money. Something that I've wanted for the longest time is a full RPG type Pokemon game. Like, give me this new Zelda, but fill the world full of Pokemon. Make the tablet on the Wii U, make the tablet a Pokedex. I mean, you could still kind of do that with this new system too. It wouldn't be the way that I envisioned it initially.
Pokemon Snap. Look at you. Can,
Snap. Like there's so many Pokemon franchises you could do with that. I mean, I feel like Pokemon's getting really stale. Like I honestly really enjoy Sun and Moon, but a part of me while I'm playing it still feels like, come on, like look at where Zelda is now. That leaps and bounds above the initial NES title. Look where Pokemon Moon and Sun is from the first Red and Blue. Like, I would not say leaps different. And bounds.
That's the thing. Is like, we've always, I mean, we grew up on the Game Boy versions, and it was really cool when, you know, I got Pokemon Stadium for my whatever 7th or 8th birthday, and I put it in, and you had that thing that plugged into the bottom of the N64 controller, and then you put your cartridge in, and your Pokemon would come to life on your TV, and it was like the coolest thing. And it's like, wow, I can't wait to see where they'll go from here. But it's like, there's just this stagnant block of time between then and now. I mean, yeah, sure, we've seen like Pokemon Tournament, we've seen the Pokemon in HD on our TVs, but not to the extent that we want. The closest thing to an actual Pokemon game was Pokemon, Pokemon Coliseum? I think that was
Coliseum and Gale XD, or XD Gale of Darkness, whatever it was, whichever way around that goes. I have it behind me. I should probably know that.
Yeah, because I think that was it. Because, I mean, it was kind of like a dungeon crawl Pokemon game, but it wasn't. But
Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. The things about these games, they were really, really great, honestly. They were really fun, and they had an adventure aspect to them where you, in the first one, in Coliseum, you went around on a motorbike, and you like went town to town, and you battled trainers, and you went through all this story. And the only thing that kind of ruined it, that took it from like, this is where Pokemon games should be going, was you couldn't find and catch Pokemon in the wild. The way you had to catch them was there was like a Team Rocket type entity in this game that were corrupting Pokemon, corrupting their hearts. And when you found a corrupt Pokemon, you could steal that Pokemon. That was the one time in Pokemon games where they let you throw a Pokemon at another, they throw a Pokeball at another trainer's Pokemon, and you could kind of coax it back and kind of fix its issues that it had developed with this abusive trainer. So I mean, that was I mean, it was a really good, and it was a cool step in the right direction, but it wasn't what they could be doing with it. And I think on the Switch, if you did that, I mean, I've said it before, but every PC game that comes out that's open world like that, like the new Ark, what's the first thing people try modding? They put Pokemon in the game.
That's exactly right.
There's been so many people that have made their own versions of what I'm talking about. There was a PC online game that was exactly this, an open world Pokemon game where you could find them in the wild, catch them, and then battle them, and then catch them. And Nintendo pulled it. They said you can't make this. So they're actively seeking out these entities and shutting them down. They know it's a thing people want, but for some reason, It's just a license to print money. I don't get it. I would buy a copy on as soon as I could.
No, I certainly agree with you. And what I was going to say is, like, now all these people are coming out and making these fan games, and like you just spoke to, Nintendo's shutting them down. There's an obvious demand for all these games. But now if you follow Game Explain, or as they're sometimes called, Rumor Explain, somebody saw some sort of HD whatever of some sort of Pokemon Sun and Moon file that may have been playing for Switch. Would I replay Pokemon Sun and Moon on the Switch? No, because I put my 20 hours into Pokemon Sun and I was done with it. But
Did you
they're kind
finish
of Yeah, I finished it.
Oh.
They're missing the mark here. I mean, there is an obvious market, and like, you know, they have no excuse not to do a Pokemon game or the next installment on the Switch, citing that, you know, because they only do the main Pokemon games in handhelds. Well, look at what we got now. I got a console in my hand. So even if the next one comes out on the Switch, there's no reason why it shouldn't. Like,
That's very true, actually. I didn't think of that. You know, keeping it on the handhelds makes sense because they're a handheld seller and they don't want to dive into that market on their handhelds, but that's what they've moved into now. They've crossed it. They've made a new handheld.
No excuse. And like, I'm surprised that there's still support for the 3DS. I mean, the 3DS has been out since like 2010 now.
Oh, but that sold so well. They'd be dumb not to keep supporting that.
I know.
Everyone has a 3DS.
That's the thing. Is like, Blaster Master Zero is coming out for 3DS and Switch. So are we going to be seeing some titles now that are on the same kind of platforms? I mean, the 3DS is like, it's similar to the Switch, I guess. I mean, you hold it in your hand and you can take it places. That's about the similarity that there is. But no, I
think they'll support the 3DS for a long while, and that does lead into the question of: do you think that's it for 3DS? Do you think they literally have merged the Wii U and the 3DS, and the Switch is it? Do you think they're going to have what? They can't bring out another 3DS now. They can't bring out another handheld. That would be so pointless. So this is it now. This is the future of Nintendo. They're not technically doing home consoles anymore. They're doing 3DSs, which can be used as a home console.
That's exactly right, because you have the 3DS, then they have the 2DS, and now for the first time ever, you have the 1DS because it's just your one screen. And that's the thing. You know, the 3DS is probably the last in the line of the DS. I love the 3DS. I have hundreds of games for it. It's a really fun system. But I think it might be time to put it to bed for the sake of the Switch. Obviously, there's not that much of an install base for the Switch yet. I mean, you have your initial people that go out and buy it. Give it a little while. Then they'll probably kill the 3DS, but not kill it, but put it to sleep nicely. Put it in a retiring home. And I don't know. It'll probably end up like the Notebook, how they just die in bed in their sleep. That's what'll happen.
Jesus, this is getting dark.
I'm so sorry.
No,
all I can think about is Zelda. I can't talk.
No, I liked it. Honestly, I thought it was funny.
Nah.
Well, it is a shame to see the 3DS go if that is the way it's going to go, but I think for a long time they're going to keep up the support for it, just because right now everyone has one and not everyone has a Switch. So I think at least for a year or two they're going to keep going with it. And interesting theory that my buddy Sean had was with the 3DS, they're really in a good position now where they have these Joy-Cons already, and they have this dock already, and they have all these removable parts. And what's the meat of the product? It's that screen. It's the tablet. Yes. So it would be relatively easy for Nintendo in 3 or 4 years, or maybe even sooner, if they wanted to come out with a new Switch, like they call it with the little like asterisk above, a new Switch, where it's a little bit more powerful, and maybe it can run games like the new 3DS is the only system that can run the Xenoblade game. It'd be relatively easy to put out a new tablet that you can just plug your old Joy-Cons into. You could put it in your old dock, and that would really drive the price down. It would be a really easy, cheap way to bring out better and more increasingly graphically capable systems in a way.
Right. No, that's a very good idea. I haven't thought about that, because really the meat of the system is the tablet itself. But the thing to remember is if they pull a PlayStation 4 Pro here, they have to start introducing some other features that the Switch doesn't have, such as cloud saves, because Zelda saves right to the system. It doesn't save to the cartridge. So they'd have to
Well,
think
maybe
about it.
there's a way they could get it on the SD card. They could make it so you switch it all over to the SD card and then switch your SD card over and switch your SD card over and put it into the new Switch.
I almost can't handle that. But would Nintendo come out with a new Switch with some new guts inside of it? I don't know. All that will be seen in time. But as far as graphics and everything, like, look, I don't care. I'm not one of those graphics guys. Like, if I was, I'd be talking to you on like a $4,000 PC with 8,000 gigabytes of RAM. You know what I mean? It's like,
Oh no, I don't care either. But at the point where there is some frame rate issues with the Zelda, and then like it's not big and it's nothing that really gets in my way. It stutters a tiny amount. It'd be fairly easy for them, 2 years down the road. I feel like to bring out a system that would at least run Zelda without any stutters.
Yeah, but have you seen? Well, you've played fast remix or whatever, like 60 frames per second, docked or handheld mode. I mean, come on, guys, that's really good. So there's no reason why they wouldn't be able to continue that trend. But then again, Fast Remix Neo or whatever it is, the Neo Racing that was on the Wii U looked really good and graphically was probably the best looking game on the Wii U. So I don't know, those guys just got a good engine going. But because the Wii U supports the Unreal Engine, I mean, come on, Final Fantasy VII confirmed to be Unreal. You never know. Maybe Square and Nintendo can finally make up on the Switch and finally put Final Fantasy VII on a Nintendo console. It's been 20 years. I mean, come on. The possibilities are truly limitless. So I'm very excited for the future of the Switch. No matter what happens, if we get a PlayStation 4 Pro Switch, who cares? All I care is that I'm having fun with my Switch, and I certainly am, and you are too, and everybody else I know is.
I agree. And if Final Fantasy does come to the Switch, you heard it here first. You heard the first HD rumblings right here.
See, that's very funny. No, Switch is very good. I'm very glad the funny story, I'll tell you the story here is, I had to cancel my pre-order for the Switch because I pre-ordered it after the
I want to hear this.
The conference in January, where they were like that, they did all that.
Yeah, that I really like that.
It was really awkward. Honestly,
they couldn't say Switch without doing it. It's like they had a binding contract that every time they said Switch, they had to throw their hand in the air like an idiot.
That's exactly what they were, and it was whatever. But no, after the conference, I went and pre-ordered it, and I was thinking, oh, gee, because as hard as the NES Minis were to get a hold of, I better get in like the minute that this conference is done and pre-order the system. So that's exactly what I did. Now, I had to cancel the pre-order because I ran into a little bit of financial trouble. We had to pay the registration on our car, which is about $700 every February.
Damn.
We budgeted for it to be like in April, so we had the extra money around, but just didn't happen. So I had to cancel the pre-order because we had to pay. We got to drive to work, obviously. Duh. So I canceled the pre-order, and I was just devastated. So like last week, or the week before, I was just like leading up to the Switch, and I was just like, oh shit, I'm not going to be able to get it. So I was like really disappointed, and I had the guy in my band come over. We were rehearsing for an acoustic show that we have coming up at the end of the month, and I was like, I need something to take my mind off of it. So we were just playing music for a little bit. And then my wife Amber she's like, oh, I just got to run to the store for a minute. I was like, okay, fine, yep, I'll see you. Be safe, drive safe. And then she comes back. My friend and I, we finished rehearsal, and it's like, gee, I'm hungry. Do you want to get something to eat? So then we go to Hungry Jack's, which is the Australian Burger King, and I'm like, man, I'd really love a Whopper. And then money was so tight that I could only afford a Whopper Junior. You know that feeling? That's the most devastating thing. Like when all you want is a Whopper, but you just get the Whopper Junior. That's bad. We've been sinking real low here. So then we come home. I open my Whopper Junior, and then my wife comes out of the bedroom with a box, and she's like, "Here," and I'm like, "What the hell is this?" And she's like, "Open it." So I open it, and there's a Switch in there, and I'm like, "This is why you get married, folks. This is why you get married. So your wife can buy you a Switch surprise with Breath of the Wild." So that is my redeeming Switch story. So that's why I love my Switch, because my loving wife went and bought it for me when we shouldn't have been able to buy it.
Amber just went up 2 points in my book.
Yes, she gone up a lot of points since then. Nah.
I also love I love that subtle like little click when you leant back there as well.
That's exactly it.
All right, so I think that's probably just about enough of the Switch for now. We definitely both had a lot to say about it because, you know, I mean, even just for us, we haven't really talked in the last week or two because I went to Texas for a little bit and then I was super busy catching up when I got back. Yeehaw. And we didn't actually get to talk about the Switch, so that was more of a chance for us to just have a conversation between the two of us that everyone else listening had the pleasure of hearing our conversation. So when you actually click that down, is that making a sound through the system, or is that just the sound it makes as you click it down?
No, it makes the sound through the system.
I actually never noticed that before. Does it actually?
Here, I'll put the speaker right under the microphone here. Yeah.
You know, I didn't know it done that. We're finding out Easter eggs right now.
It's really cool. But yeah, as we discussed before, we've made the Switch, and we're just discovering that every time you put the Joy-Con in there.
To end this podcast, let's what's something funny or interesting that happened to both of us recently? Something that stood out to you in your life. What's a story you can share?
I'll go first because mine is very funny. My day job, I've got to pay the bills. It's not my dream job, but I work in a call center servicing health insurance for Bupa. So people call up making payments, you know, for their health insurance or inquiring about, when am I paid up until, or what kind of health insurance plan am I on, etc. You know, just a phone job. It's nothing special. Pays the bills. I had this guy call up the other day, and he said, "Hi, my name is Richard Burns. I want to know if I'm covered for a vasectomy." And that's it. Honestly.
Oh God, how did you handle that without breaking out laughing immediately?
I didn't. I mean, I handled it well. I was nice and professional and cordial, and you know, I said, sure. I'll what I'll do is I'll have to pass you on to the right department in order to determine what you're covered for in regards to that. And then I said, "Oh, thanks. Have a nice day." And then I hung up the phone, and I was like. So.
Okay, well, at least your bid kind of hides your smile a little bit, so you get away with that. At least your co-workers don't see you laughing.
No, the funny thing is that I turned to the guy next to me, and then my wife Amber, who works just right across from me, we look at each other each day, and I looked at her and I'm like, So that was funny. And
you know, you two are so in tune. She looked right at you, and you're like, "That's his vasectomy face. I know what's going on."
If I have a vasectomy face, I hope I don't.
I think mine would have to be, so I recently went to Texas, as you know, and I came back, and I was back for a couple of days. But my roommate, and a lot of my roommates didn't know that I had come home. And the first night I was home, I got home really late. It was about 2 a.m. in the morning, and I was downstairs, you know, putting my stuff away and packing up. Anyway, a couple of days later, I'm out in the kitchen, I'm cooking dinner, and one of my roommates comes in. He looks really worried, and he's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, why?" And he's like, "While you were gone, I walked past your room, because I live like downstairs. I walked past your room and I saw the stairwell, and it was all dark down there, but the door was open. The door hadn't been open the entire time you were gone. You weren't here." And I was like, "Oh, I guess he's back." But then, as I was walking past, I heard a little girl's voice say, "Where are my parents?" And at that point, I was like, "Well, I'm moving house, and I am never going down into that basement ever again." But it turns out that I actually was home, and he didn't know that, and I was downstairs watching Finding Dory, and it was just Finding Dory's voice asking for her parents. But at the time when he was telling me the story, he started it with, "When you weren't here, I heard a little girl's voice from your bedroom." So I was ready to move out at that point. I'm not sure if I believe in ghosts, but that was enough for me. Everything down there, like my Switch, it was all just up for grabs at that point.
That's the smoking gun, the ghost of Dory, the flounder fish, trying to find her parents, but somehow she's floating through the stairwell in your house. Very spooky.
Past, he heard some HD rumblings, and it was downhill from there.
Yeah. All in all, we'd like to thank everybody for watching the first pilot episode of Everything's Taken. We've been talking about it for close to a year now, and finally we're doing it. So we hope everybody out there had as much fun listening as we did talking to each other. Any final points? What?
No, I'm good. We were talking for a while now. I need some water.
I know. I'm ready to
thirsty.
shut up.
No, I am ready to not talk to you ever again. This was a bad idea. I'm starting to regret this a little bit. I'm sitting here staring at your vasectomy face, and I'm kind of running out of things to say.
I certainly hope I don't have a vasectomy face. I think I'd have to see a psychologist. But does Boopa cover that?
No,
We'll find out.
Yeah.
We'll find out next week.
No, I had a lot of fun, and as I said, I wouldn't do this with anyone else but you. So
Yes,
I'm glad to have
me
you
either.
here, and I appreciate that. And I look forward to finding out who you managed to get on the next podcast.
Me too, because at this point we don't know, but
No,
we'll
we
find
have
out.
no idea, and you guys will find out with us. So thank you very much. Remember to go follow Eric on everything he does. He has a band. He has some. You have like a little company now. You started with your girlfriend. You have a YouTube channel. You have a lot of things going on that people
Life
can
is
head over
just-
and check out.
Is just wonderful.
It's just beautiful, isn't it?
Just beautiful.
And I appreciate you guys watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, remember to hit subscribe, like, comment, all of that stuff. And we will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching the first episode of Everything's Taken.
Remember the ET podcast. Phone home.
And our podcast to phone home about. We're not ending it like that every time because it's too dorky.
It's very cheesy.